Hey everybody, welcome to the demo day. This is going to be a lot of fun. We have a fantastic panel of judges, competitors, everybody sitting tight in Zoom right now. For those of us on YouTube, we're going to cover some bases and actually get things going and bring you right into the Zoom room. So let's kick things off. First off, we can't do this without an illustrious panel of judges. I'm really excited to share the judges that we have. You're going to hear introductions from them in just a minute, but Jordana, Drew, James, Charles, they'll not only be watching for techniques, skills, competencies, but they'll also be providing color commentary during the chat and afterwards, so stay tuned for their insights. But most importantly, we have 4 incredible recruits who are going to be sharing everything that they've learned over the last 12 weeks. And I want to set the stage. This is a really tough competition, not just because we have 4 incredible competitors, but what we're asking them to do is really difficult. Throughout the program, we cover discovery, demonstrations, how do you run a sales call? We're giving them 15 minutes to show the best of their skills, so stay tuned. Now, you see the 4 candidates that we have up here. This is not the order they're presenting. We haven't told them who's going first yet. We'll do that in a minute. But first, let's cover the house rules. If you are joining us, here are a couple of things to keep in mind. If you're in Zoom, please keep your mute on so that our competitors can focus on getting their message across. Please keep your cameras on so that they can see your reactions. It makes the selling much easier. We also encourage you to engage in chat, whether you're on Zoom or on YouTube. That commentary is great fuel for the competition, but also our buyer, our head instructor, Sheila, is going to be watching those chats for tidbits and suggestions on what questions to ask. So if you want to keep the pressure on the sales competition, toss them in there. And then our judges are always tossing in commentary and insight, so stay tuned for great tips there. Key reminder, this is a place to build up, so make sure you frame that commentary with ways to improve, not just any slips or hiccups. There are always areas to improve, so feel free to bring those out, and I'll be staying tuned on some of the logistics, like our time limits. So this is going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, if you are in Zoom, watch for that YouTube link. Feel free to share it. That link will also be available on demand right afterwards. That's enough for the audience. Our competitors, here's for you, our rules of engagement. Number 1, when you start your session, be sure to remind the audience what you're selling and who you're selling it to. We have 4 incredible products being shown today. And what's also really cool is one of our recruits has already been hired by the company that they'll be demoing. For everybody in the audience, try and guess who it is. For the judges, try and guess who it is, because this is going to be a lot of fun. It's a brand new role, but this is a real demo in every sense of it, so this is going to be a blast. You'll have 15 minutes. It is a hard limit. I am going to be interrupting you if you run over. So run your own timer, keep an eye on your clock, but I'll be running a timer here, so we'll watch for that. After each presentation, we'll let the next competitor know who's up. So they've got a couple of minutes to organize, get themselves set up, but you'll see the flow as it goes. There will be a brief break in the middle, so we'll get waters, coffees, whatever caffeinated beverage you need. And then at the very end, we will provide feedback and crown our next demo champion. So stay tuned. We'll get through all of that today. Ultimately, though, let's dig in. We'll get some introductions. For the folks on Zoom, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And for those who are on YouTube, let's bring you right into the Zoom environment. Here we go. Welcome. Okay, let's kick things off. I want to get all of our judges to introduce themselves, but before they do, promise our competitors will get 2 minutes to know who's up next. So our first presenter will be Angie. Angie, you've got a couple of minutes to get yourselves ready. For our judges, we'd ask you to introduce yourselves. We're going to take the same order as we had at the introduction. So Jordana, Drew, James, Charles. Can you tell the audience who you are? Jordana, you're up.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Jordana Zeldin. I am the founder of a sales coaching consultancy called Spring Training. I am a massive Uvaro fan. And what I do is help sellers to be more human in their selling so that they feel better about their selling and get better results from it too.
Thank you so much. Drew, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. I am Drew Williams, founder of salesplaybookbuilder.com, and I help founders, specifically in SaaS, transition out of founder-led sales with confidence. Good luck, everybody.
Awesome. James, you're up next.
Hi there, my name is James Howell. I founded MindFloss, and we also work in the coaching space for salespeople, a little bit more on the soft skills side. So things like building a growth mindset and resiliency. And I'm really excited to be here. So good luck to everybody.
Thanks so much, James. Charles, bring us home.
Hi, everyone. I'm Charles, head sales coach at a company called CB Insights. Unlike Jordana, I teach my sales team to be more animalistic. No, I'm just kidding. I specialize in discovery, and I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. This is such a great panel of judges. I can already see in the chat a lot of activity, a lot of commentary. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're happy to jump right into it. We've got 2 competitors, our break, our last 2, then closing out. Angie, how are you feeling?
I would be lying if I wasn't saying that I'm nervous, which I definitely am, but I'm excited to go first, and hopefully I do well.
Awesome. So for our competitors, any outstanding questions before we get started? None coming. That's awesome. And our judges, quick check. You've got your scorecards, you're hooked up. Can I get a thumbs up if you're ready to go? Fantastic. Hey, Angie, you're up. Remember to introduce yourself. You've got your 15 minutes. I'll start my timer after your introduction and when you get started. And we'll be cheering you on. The mic is yours.
Awesome. Thanks, Joseph. So hi, everyone. I'm Angie. Sheila is going to be the CEO of a WISP, which is a wireless internet service provider. They have approximately 1,000 subscribers currently, and she is looking for help with gaining more visibility into her network. She's had an influx of support calls, and her team just need a little bit of help with dealing with those. Okay, so I also hope that my dog doesn't try and participate too much. He's on his bed right now. Hopefully that's where he stays. So I'm just gonna start my timer. Hi, Sheila, how are you?
Hey, Angie, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. I'm good. So last time we talked, Sheila, I know that you had recently moved to Vancouver Island. How are you settling in?
I love it. Thank you for asking and remembering. It's been busy for sure, but I love it here. It's beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, I went actually a few years ago. One of my friends was living in South Saanich.
Okay.
It was a really beautiful area.
Yeah.
So
nice.
yeah. So Sheila, I just want to confirm that we have 15 minutes for our talk today. Is that still good?
Yeah, 15 is perfect. It's got to be a hard stop though. I've got a jet right after.
Okay, sounds good. So basically, I just want to quickly go over kind of an informal agenda and things that we'll be discussing today. I really want to unpack the types of support calls that you're receiving and how your team is currently dealing with them. And then I'd also like to talk about what type of insights that you'd like to see in your network, that whole ideal world scenario. I also want to show you the pre-SEAM UI. I think that's what we kind of both came here for today, and take you on a mini tour of the type of network and subscriber data that you'll be provided with. And then last but certainly not least, we'll chat about pricing, and if it makes sense, we can definitely discuss what it will look like for you to get started with our 30-day free trial. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, was there anything that I didn't touch upon in the agenda that you would like to cover? Or, I mean, certainly feel free to interrupt me as well with questions.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer to just kind of ask questions as they come up, because that sounds like you've got a good plan.
Okay, great. So Sheila, I know on our first call that you did mention you've been kind of shoulder to shoulder with your support team, trying to remedy the root cause of the support calls that you're receiving. And I mean, I speak to a lot of CEOs at emerging WISPs that do have their boots on the ground, along with their support teams, trying to identify and locate and mitigate these issues. So can you please walk me through your current process, what it looks like when a support call comes through?
Yeah. So I'm going to say that it's been fluctuating a lot in terms of the timing of the volume. So previously, I could have given you a walkthrough of what it looked like with most of our support calls because we knew what time to have people on staff, right? Just more predictable patterns of behavior. So when it happens at the right time, there's a series of support tickets that go through. a call gets answered, and if it's a thing that whoever answers can deal with in the moment, they'll do this sort of FAQ, have you tried this? Can you try that? Troubleshooting. And then if it needs to be escalated to our engineering team, we do that from there. And that's through a series of support tickets.
Okay, that makes sense. And that seems, it sounds like something very similar to what we're seeing a lot of our customers using before they have pre-seam deployed. And I mean, those peak hours of internet usage are kind of gone now with the age of everyone working from home and just the increased usage of high bandwidth applications. So that is definitely a pattern that we've seen across the board. So now when we're speaking on the support calls that you're receiving, it seems like you and your team are really just going off of more so anecdotal evidence with a common complaint of my internet is slow. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so it's anecdote. We're tracking the data on it, but we're tracking the qualitative feedback from our customers when they call in. So yeah, and of course, it's always after the fact that we can look back and see it. I'm hoping that this is something a little bit more proactive as opposed to reactive.
Right, yes. And pre-seam is absolutely a proactive solution to these support calls. So going back to if you had the magic wand, what would you prefer this process to look like? I know that you mentioned to have a little bit more insight and visibility, but is there anything else?
Well, if I were going to be like, it can have everything, I would love to see something that gives us warning. So we have some kind of lead time before we're getting phone calls and sort of in reactive escalation mode. So something that gives us the ahead of time heads up that there's going to be an issue. And then if there was a way to pinpoint not just the customer, but like what's going on in the area. Is it an individual user that's experiencing the issue? Is it happening with neighbors as well?
Okay, that sounds great. And all things that I'm going to be showing you today. So that gets me excited. And just before I do that, I really want to just take a step back again. And so back to your support process. Now, it sounds like you are doing some truck rolls. Is that correct?
Yeah, we try to do as few as possible, but yeah.
You have like a general average of how many per month that you've seen? I know you said it's been fluctuating, but any average?
Yeah, it's fluctuating a lot. Pre-COVID, I would have said maybe anywhere from 2 to 6 was normal, but we've seen some months with double that. I've seen it's been fluctuating. I don't know if that's a thing you guys can help with.
Yes, certainly. And that sounds really stressful to have that many truck rolls going out per month. So I feel for you there. But like I said, we will be touching on pricing a little bit later in the call, but I wanted to just give you some food for thought in the meantime, that we hear from our WISPs that by saving even 2 truck rolls per month, it offsets the price of the pre-seam monthly subscription. Now that definitely depends on how many subscribers that you have, but it's just something to kind of mull over as we continue our conversation. And I mean, with the amount that you're getting, I think that would be a clear offset in terms of price.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I'm actually just going to bring you in to share my screen. Before I do so, I just want to preface with what I'm going to be showing you. There's going to be a lot of information, Sheila. So I don't want you to get overwhelmed, but I would like to just take you to some specific areas so we can tell a little bit of a story together and so you can really envision yourself using this product. I also have a few different tabs up, and that's just to be mindful of time today. You can definitely seamlessly navigate throughout the UI itself, but like I said, just in the interest of time, I have everything kind of set up already.
Okay, great.
So I'm gonna start sharing my screen in just a moment. All right, and can I get confirmation that you're able to see?
Yeah, it's just a bar graph. Right on.
Okay, yes, it is. So this is actually a great place where I wanted to start. We have a lot of CEOs that this is where they like to start their days off. It provides a really great bird's eye view of your entire network health over the span of 4 weeks. So I want to ask you, Sheila, can you picture yourself coming into the office, sitting down at your desk and turning this on first thing in the morning?
And this gives me an overview of everybody. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. The red ones, are those the ones that are, I'm assuming the ones in crisis highest latency points?
Yes, so this is actually a live network that we're peeking inside, and you're one of our first customers with pre-seam. So they have their red dialed down pretty well. But yes, the red is high latency, yellow is mediocre. There still will be some buffering on the subscriber's end, and then green, as always, is good.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, so this is just what I wanted to show you first and foremost, because like I said, our CEOs just they turn this on in the morning,
Hmm.
and then it gives them a really good idea of kind of where to direct their attention for the day. If there's any fires that they have to put out, or if everything's looking good, then they can direct attention elsewhere.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm happy you like that. I'm gonna bring you over onto our next screen, and this is where there's just numbers and information flying at you from all angles. So I really just wanted to show you the latency column right here. So right now we're looking at all of the towers and sectors in this one network. So first things first, I'm just going to sort it from worst to best, so we can take a
Mhm.
peek at what's going on with the towers that are experiencing high latency, and take an even deeper dive onto the subscribers on that tower. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd like to start off with this Simmons Shores tower. We can see that there are currently 5 active subscribers and a pretty high latency. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that if they haven't already called, the subscribers on this tower will be
They're
calling
going to, yeah.
to complain. Yes. So we're just going to pop in here and look at the sector details to have a little bit more of a granular idea of what we're looking at and what's going on. All right. So again, I know with no context, it looks pretty complicated and a little bit confusing. But to the right here, this graph with all the colors happening, these are all of the subscribers that are on the tower. So we
Mm.
are able to see their internet usage and their patterns throughout pretty much the span of one day.
Huh. On an individual basis.
Exactly.
Love
We
it.
can even, on this view as well, isolate a certain subscriber.
Okay.
So Sheila, can I ask, have you ever had this type of visibility into your subscriber usage pattern before?
Never this specific.
Okay.
And this is live. This is real time.
Yes, up until, well, you know what, right now, so let me back step again. I did, because this is a live network, they
Mhm.
have their support team dialed down to make sure that there's really no latency occurring at all. So for the purpose of today's demo, I had to backtrack a little bit into the
Okay.
end of January for a time that I was able to look at some exciting figures, because I mean, from your perspective, you don't want there to be latency. For the purpose of the demo, I would like there to be a little bit to show
Okay.
you what it looks like.
I understand. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes. Okay, so we're back on this graph right here, and we can see that subscriber 1899 has consistent activity just going on at all times. So there's one of 2 scenarios that I could see. One being that there is an issue with their home Wi-Fi, either connection or their customer
Mhm.
premise device.
Mhm.
Another one is, and I mean, please let me know if you have some of these in your network as well, could be a gamer. So just
Yeah.
constant streaming.
Yeah.
We have a lot
Yeah.
of downloads happening. Yeah.
Weird timing, nonstop. The times when
Yes.
you think it's going to be quiet, it's not, because there's downloads happening for sure. That's
Yes.
familiar.
And if you look to the left, so this graph right here, this is the actual performance of the tower itself, which is this blue line. And
Mhm.
then that straight horizontal dotted line is the device on there. So
Mhm.
to kind of give you a high level understanding of why I'm pointing this out to you, is that you can see the individual 1899 and the overall tower performance is pretty lockstep. Um, so what that's telling me is that this individual is having a negative effect on the entire tower, and we
Okay.
need to dive down a little bit deeper on this person.
Mhm. Okay. Maybe upgrade their plan. Can I ask a quick question?
Yep.
Does it matter where where I deploy this, like, or how? I guess that's a hardware question. Um, like, can I put it anywhere, or does it always have to be deployed from the same place? Does it cover all users, or does it move around?
Those are some really great questions. So I'm going to try and give you a piecemeal approach on how to answer them, or give you my answers for them.
Okay.
So it is an inline device, and it is deployed south of the main edge router in your network.
Okay.
So that is kind of our general high level explanation to that. But there certainly are some more unique network topologies where it would go a little bit different. But that's something that if you would like to proceed with the next call, then one of our solutions architects would be on there with you, and they could definitely unpack your network and tell you exactly where would be the most beneficial place for the device. And then your question on deployment and who to deploy that with, that's really up to you, Sheila. So
Okay.
a lot of our WISPs, they like to start off with a partial deployment just to be a little bit more financially efficient that way. And then once they see the value that we bring to their network, then they kind of open the floodgates and then want to monitor and optimize all of their subscribers.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And so I know that we are cutting it a little bit close on time, so I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. And honestly, that was really just the tip of the iceberg with what we can look at with the app itself. This is something that we could really just drill down much deeper on the next call with one of our solutions architects, as I did mention. But just while my screen is up, Sheila, did you have any more questions about what you saw on the screen?
No more questions about what we looked at today. I want to see more. It seems like this does a lot. So I think a closer look would be helpful.
That's really great. And so based on that feedback, I would really like to schedule a next meeting. But just quickly before that, did you have a chance to look at our website to see our pricing? If not, that's perfectly okay.
I did not, no.
Okay, so just to let you know, our pricing, it's super transparent and very straightforward. It is based off of the subscriber, so it's 50 cents US per subscriber per month. So with you and your 1,000 active subscribers, it would be 500. And that is if you wanted to do a full deployment. We also do provide cost breaks for based off of growth. So you're about a third of the way there for our first price break, which would happen at 2,500 subscribers. And then pretty much the more you grow, the more you save. So that's really our pricing structure in a nutshell.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So the next thing to do would be to set up a call to bring in, I would suggest your network engineer as well as our solutions architect so we could really dig into your network topology and discuss the best plan of action for deployment. How does that sound?
That sounds great. Yeah, I'll bring the technical team as well, maybe also a support person just to see what their first response to it is.
Yes, absolutely. And it's one of those applications that you're going to see a lot of different team members company-wide using. So definitely the more the merrier, and just you bring in whoever you think would benefit from the meeting. So I'm just going to pull up my calendar really quickly, Sheila. Would Tuesday at around 10 a.m. Pacific time work for that next meeting?
Yeah, I can do that. Maybe can we do 10:30?
10:30, sure. It's going to be an hour long, so 10:30 to 11:30, that's all right?
Great, perfect.
Okay, sounds good. So I actually did record this demo as well. I'll send you the recording of this along with the invitation for the next meeting.
Perfect. Thank you, Angie.
Okay, thanks so much, Sheila. I'm excited to work with you.
Thanks.
Well done.
What was the time on that?
I've got 12 seconds on my timer. Angie, well done. Okay, giving our judges a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to come back to you. Our next competitor, so the next person up, get ready, is Lance. You got a couple of minutes to get yourself sorted. Give our judges a couple of minutes to finish out their evaluations and scores. Angie, how are you feeling?
I feel very relieved. I feel like my heart is back in the proper place, and then I can breathe.
12 seconds. How much did you have left on your timer?
I guess I jumped the gun on pressing my timer because it was 15 or 14 seconds over, and I was like, where is this gong sound? I was expecting it, but happy I came under.
There you go. No, that was really good. This is a nice flow. I see our judges focusing as they fill out score sheets, and some fantastic comments in there. I'm really looking forward to our debriefs. This will be some fun items to unpack. And having 4 different products being featured today always makes it a challenge too. So I see eye contact. Quick check with the judges. How are you doing? Can I get a thumbs up when you're done? 1, 2, there we go. Great. Okay, I think we're ready to get ourselves going. Lance, you're going to be up next. How are you feeling? You all sorted?
All sorted, still nervous, but ready to kick butt.
Fantastic. So great reminder of the best practices, your name, what you're selling, who you're selling it to. And again, there's a lot going on in the chat, so feel free to punch it off to the side to avoid the distractions. I'm going to mute myself, and the floor is yours.
Okay, let me finish the last bit of getting ready. All right, everyone. I am Lance. I'll be selling Vidyard today. Sheila will be a manager of training and delivery for an airline. She is responsible for getting new hires up to speed, about 30 to 35 individuals at a time. Hey, Sheila, how's it going?
Hey, Lance, I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, good. I had to ask you one quick question before we get started. I saw on Instagram that you and your children were building forts yesterday. That is amazing. That's a level up of what we've seen from our days.
Yeah, it's this crazy kit with like sticks and balls and holes, and you can build castles. It's chaos. It's very cool, but it's very messy.
Seems like you got two engineers up under you.
Engineers of chaos, yes.
All right, before we get started, I just want to say thank you and confirm that we still have 15 minutes today.
Yes, 15 minutes is perfect, but I have a call right after, so I will have to jump out.
No worries. I'm trying to get you a bit of that time back. What I really want to go to and make sure I have a goal for today is to understand that if Vidyard is a good use of a case for you to be able to use and if you see in the future.
Okay, right on. Sounds like a good use of 15 minutes.
And if you have any questions throughout the duration of our consultation, would you feel free to jump in and let me know at any time?
Yeah, if you're okay with that, I will interrupt as they pop up.
I actually prefer it. It finds that it calms both of us down. And also I want to set an agenda for today. So first, I just want to pick your brain to make sure we have a right fit. I want to ask you some questions just to ensure that we're on the right page. Second, I want to make sure I get some insights I want to share about other companies who I am working with at this time. And then lastly, if it makes sense, we can talk about next steps and moving forward. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, great.
Fair deal, fair contract?
Sounds good to me.
So I do look off to this screen right over here just to take some notes to make sure I'm keeping up to the time that I have set. With that being said, let's get started. So what I hear typically with the companies that I've worked for, that there are three different aspects to onboarding. That is the learning the material, applying the material, and then studying the material. Is that resonating with you?
Yeah, that's accurate. Those are the three parts, and I think that's part of the struggle of trying to do it all remotely now. I'm very used to doing this training in person, and we've changed it. I'm trying to be as safe for everybody as possible. So those are the three pieces I care about most. Some of it is easier than others.
Okay, can you speak to me about your process in handling those three components of onboarding?
Yeah, sure. So the adjustments that I've made, all the stuff that used to be delivered in person, we're now doing in a group call via Zoom. The difficulty being that a huge part of the in-person training involved just sending them off and doing some role play or doing role play in the moment. Can't really do that. Zoom lets me use breakout rooms, so that's kind of what I've swapped that out for. But in a room, I can wander over and I can listen and add feedback, and I can hear what's going over there at the same time and pop over. In Zoom, I don't have any. I have to just basically do it by time. I spend this much time in this room, this much time in that room, and it's not the same. I also don't get any feedback from the sessions that I'm not in. And then when it comes to like the stuff that I can just send them home to read, I can send them home to read it, but I don't really have any way of knowing if they're all reading and absorbing it because I can't be in every room at the same time when they practice it.
So it sounds like you are having trouble being able to be in multiple rooms at once and truly analyzing the systems that we got in place.
Yeah.
Zoom is only meeting you halfway where you need to be. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, it does not feel the same, or at least I don't feel as confident that what I want to be happening is happening for everybody in the room.
So other than Zoom, are there any other tools that you're using to facilitate that learning?
It's mostly Zoom, and then written documentation. I just share PDFs with them. I don't know how they use them. They might be printing them. They might be accessing from their own device, but I have a giant file of resources, but they're all text-based.
No, that makes sense. A question about how they're learning with questionnaires. Do you have any questionnaires in mind, or?
We do some questionnaires, and it's something that I'm not great at. I feel like I should start incorporating more of them because this questionnaires and quizzes would at least let me see how they're doing. It feels weird quizzing adults, but if that's going to get me the feedback that I know or the feedback that I need, then maybe that's the next piece.
No, that's fair to say. I understand that quizzes are very important in your industry just to make sure safety is the utmost importance. Last thing you want in an airline is to have any accidents that could be catastrophic. So I
Exactly.
definitely hear you where you're coming from there. Can you talk to me about a scale of 1 to 10 where you're currently at with Zoom?
Uh, so that's a tough one because at the beginning of the work from home, it's the only thing that let me do any of this. So it kind of saved my butt, right? And thank goodness it was there because what else would we have done? But at this point, um, I don't feel like I'm in band-aid mode anymore. I want this to be better and I can see the things that are not as good as the way it used to be in person. So right now I'm sitting at like a 6 for Zoom, but I'm not detracting from the product. Like I don't know what I'd be doing without it at this point.
6. That is not a be all
Yeah.
end all. We want to get you some implementations to see if we can boost that number up with our product. If you had a magic wand, can you talk to me about what requirements you would need to fulfill your onboarding?
Magic Wand would have recording and conversation analysis in every single breakout room. I think that might be too magical. So, from my understanding, that technology doesn't exist yet. But you know, next best alternative would be a way to um, get the information going back and forth, spending less time in Zoom because as much as I appreciate that it's been letting me do this, we're all kind of tired of it. A way to get the information going back and forth, not not inside a Zoom room, but also with the feedback that they're watching, that they're learning and understanding. I know that's a lot.
So one key takeaway I'm hearing from that little unpacking that I did was integration. Is that resonate? You looking to integrate Zoom with other platforms to better get an understanding of analytics?
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like getting, Zoom plus, but the plus is the what's going on in the breakout room and then knowing what's going on outside of the Zoom room as well.
Okay, so we do have an answer for that here at Vidyard. I wanted to give you a little bit of social proof before I show you my screen and show you exactly what I'm talking about. So I consult with other companies and they're finding that they too, when they're using Zoom for onboarding, they use Vidyard in tandem with their trainers to conduct the breakout rooms and record those and then give it back to the instructors to
Interesting.
get analytics based off who's watching it, who's performing well, who's underperforming. I would
Huh.
love to show you my screen and show you exactly what I'm talking about and how they're using it.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds, I didn't realize. So it's not a direct integration, it's just using the two on top of each other.
Yes, yes, that is correct.
Okay, cool.
Can you see my screen?
I can.
And you can still hear me okay, obviously.
Yeah, sounds good.
So imagine yourself as the manager right now on our Vidyard platform. This is the library you would see.
Mhm.
So those videos that you were referencing, when you're trying to assign homework to individuals, these are those videos that you would be assigning homework to. So for week 1, say you wanted to check in someone, how to find a reservation, you would send this out by clicking these 3 dots and hitting share.
Mhm.
And then you'd be able to share that homework. And you also mentioned with those questionnaires and quizzes, you can insert a call to action. So what you would do in that case is click on that video and then video insights. And then this is where we can implement a call to action up here. Do you see me if you follow my mouse?
Yeah.
So this is all in one place where you would have the analytics and the call to action. Is this something that you can see yourself using?
So yeah, I'm seeing the analytics benefit right away just in terms of knowing who's watched to completion and not. That call to action, can I make the call to action a question and then what they put in is the answer? Is that what you mean?
Yes, there are different levels of call to action. So I would want to dive deeper into what specifically you were looking for in call to action. And that way I
Mhm.
can give you a better answer.
Okay. I think what I'm thinking of, a training video, and then the call to action is a multiple choice question.
Yes, that our platform can handle that easily.
Okay.
So this is also what I wanted to take you to the page for with those analytics. For the sake of this video and privacy concerns, I had to set this up on my personal account and then implement a couple videos to demonstrate what it would look like for each of your homeworks and or quizzes.
Okay.
So the video I clicked on, you won't be able to see specifically the video play rate, but
Okay.
here's the information and where you would
I
find it.
see.
So,
Okay, so it's dummy data. That's fair.
exactly, exactly. Now,
Okay.
before I close my screen, is there anything else that you'd like to see?
I guess I'd like to hear a little bit about pricing structures and what that looks like.
Okay, so with the pricing, it is on our website. I suspect that you'd be in the Teams account. So you'd either be looking at 3 to 5 users or 5+ users. Can you tell me how many users you would ideally want to see on the platform?
That is an excellent question. So based on that, it sounds like the user license is for content creator only. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So just the people who are making the videos as opposed to the people who are watching them. That's really good to know. I could use that with my whole team then. So in terms of content creators, we're probably looking at 3 to 5. Sounds pretty good, actually.
Okay, with 3 to 5, it's going to be about $300 annually.
Mhm.
Does that sound like it is a good deal for you?
Yeah, that actually kind of surprises me. Okay. And can that change? Can we start with, one user size and then add more? Is that malleable?
Yes. Yes, that is an option. That is definitely an option we can work with you on. I'd love to get you set up on a next call if it makes sense. From what I showed you, experience in Vidyard now that you've seen the platform. Is there anything else that's preventing you from being able to move forward in this?
Last steps for me before signing up for more than just a person. Like I see there's the free version. I'm just looking at the tab here, but before getting my team on it, there would be a security audit. That would be our next steps.
Security is very important.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I have a calendar schedule. How does Monday at 11 a.m. sound?
For the security audit?
Yes.
Right on. How long does that take?
Typically, it takes about 7 to 10 business days. That's
Okay.
what I find when I work with other companies that I'm working with. But
Okay, so I guess in that meeting, then we'd just be exchanging info, filling out questionnaires. Is that what that looks like?
yes.
Okay. Okay, I'll have to bring another person with me, but that works for me.
Okay, so I'll send you a calendar invite. It's typically about 90 minutes, so I'll make sure if it's at 11 p.m., 12:30, we'll try to wrap up and get you out of there.
Okay. Did you say PM? I prefer AM. Can we do AM?
11 a.m. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank goodness.
I must have blanked. I just we don't do business at 12:30.
Thank goodness. Okay.
We don't do
Yeah. Yeah, that works for me. Thank you. If you can shoot that over.
No worries. It's my Friday. Give me that. I got the Super Bowl coming up. There's a lot on my mind.
Okay, I got you. All right. Sounds good.
Okay, so yeah, once again, I'll be looking to send you that calendar invite for you and your team. And then welcome to Vidyard.
Great. Thanks, Lance.
All right, bye-bye.
Wow. Lance, well done. You had over 2 minutes left in there, and you were efficient. This is awesome. We're gonna take a break in a couple of minutes, but Lance, great job keeping an eye on the timing. That was a good flow. For everybody in the room, we are gonna take a quick break. So if you're on YouTube, we're gonna toss up an intermission slide, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes. Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you got a chance to top up your waters, your coffees, your vodka sodas, whatever is keeping you going. We have got a couple of more presentations. This is going to be so much fun. So our third competitor is Mike. Mike, I'm going to hand it off to you in just a moment. Quick reminder to introduce your product, who you're selling to. I will start the timer right after your introduction. I'm going to mute myself and the floor is yours.
Hi everyone. I'm doing demo for Loopio. It's a cloud-based RFP response management system. And Sheila, my ICP, is a VP of sales. A multinational company, serving mostly enterprise and government customer. They have a team located in 4 different cities around the world. Good morning, Sheila. How are you doing?
Hey, Mike, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for coming in today. Before we start, I have a quick question for you, though. Sure. On a scale from 1 to 10, how excited are you about the new Dune movies?
Okay. I gotta be honest, I'm one of those annoying elitists who prefers the books almost always. So while I'm excited that it's happening, I'm not super excited to see it.
Okay, let me assure you, I saw the trailer and I got to say the casting choice is spot on, right? You will love Timothée Chalamet in Paul Atreides. When I talked with Callum about from your team that he mentioned Dune, I know that I have to bring it up. It's a geek out with you.
Yeah, the sci-fi thing is always, I try to pretend it's not awkward because it's me, but it's awkward. So
no, I love it. I fell asleep to Dune audiobook all the time.
Oh, okay.
So let's shift gear a little bit, but not really. So the reason I brought up Dune was really because usually when a VP of sales come to us, they are looking for a kind of special spice that can accelerate their space travel journey.
Okay.
So that resonate with you, or am I off base here?
So it resonates from both the sci-fi always direction, but yes, I am looking for something to, I don't want my team addicted, but yeah, if it can solve all our problems that make us into super people, that would be great.
That's awesome. I'm so happy you mentioned that. And to be able to do just that, just need to open up a little bit about your current IP process.
Okay.
And with that in mind, I'll be able today to walk you through a couple of solutions we have in place. Also, just let's just make it a conversation, right? And just feel free to just jump right in. That's all right?
Yeah, I will have questions, so that's great. That's my preference.
Jump right in. Okay. At the end, though, if we deem that is the right spice for your space travel, sorry, it's a little bit cheesy. I'm gonna
That's okay. I like it.
Let's carry this on to another deep dive conversation. Otherwise, if it is not a good fit, let's call it a day and part as friends. How that sound?
That sounds great. And if we part as friends, I'll let you know what I think about the movie.
I love it.
Perfect.
Listen, yeah, I love it. So we lock in about 15 minutes. Do we have a little big wiggle room at the end, or is that a hard stop?
I do not. I'm sorry. It's a hard stop at the 15.
Understand. And will there be anybody joining us today, or just us?
I think it's just us today. If anybody jumps in, I'll give you fair warning.
Awesome. So Sheila, help me understand here why managing IFB is important for your team to achieve your sales target this year.
Yeah. So, of course, the RFP process always slows everything down. We're working with enterprise level deals or government. So you're looking at anywhere from 1.5 to 3 months if we're doing things well. And when we're doing them not well, it takes longer, of course. So in the interests of keeping things on track, on time, actually hitting not just targets, but our forecasted expectations, we need a smoother process. It's part of, I'm going to say, every single sales cycle that goes through our hands.
I feel you. And I know that your company have office from all over the world. I imagine the turnaround time and version control also a little bit clunky as well, right?
Yes, the time zones insert an extra step in terms of how long it takes to get things completed. And then because we have the 4 different offices, the version control becomes more of a thing, especially in deals where they pass back and forth between offices. So there's a lot of moving parts. You're nodding like it's familiar. Okay. Yeah.
So since we're working here, I imagine the current process just doesn't cut it for you guys. How you guys are like? What are the bottleneck you're looking at here?
Okay, don't judge me.
Oh no.
But we're using Excel sheets, and we have, of course, a shared drive. And yes, we try to keep it organized. But of course, with Excel sheets, you run into version issues, just depending on who's shared, where, what their privacy settings are, and then who's downloaded and completed. And it's we're trying to make it centralized with the shared drive, but I just know it could be better. And at this point, we're really focused on dialing in the length of our sales cycles.
This horror story sound familiar to you? I have customer who open a 100 MB Excel file just to open up. It takes about 5 minutes to open everything.
Yes, this is familiar to me. Okay.
And it sounds to me like it's just not a business problem. It feels to me like you personally agonize over this a lot, don't you?
It's frustrating. It's not losing sleep. It's how many times in my day am I resisting the urge to punch my computer? And I know that sounds ridiculous. I don't have a problem, I promise. It's just, it's too much.
No, you're not alone here, trust me.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
You're not alone at all. And yeah, that's a common thing we hear from VP Sales this year, especially in your space, where enterprise and government involved. I have seen, what I see in the industry is that working on the IP response time actually not just have linear but exponential impact on sales. So a VP of sales I work with gave me a really cool back of the envelope calculation on this one. You want to hear it?
Yes, I do.
All right. So imagine your process is not clunky anymore, right? What do you want to see in that perfect world?
I want it to be smooth, seamless, and I want to feel confident that the file's going to open and it's the up-to-date version that I need. I would love to real time be able to just get insight into what everybody's working on. I mean, I like to think I know. I like to think I'm checking all the boxes and not missing things, but the reality of it is that I probably am. And if I am, it means some of my team members are as well.
And collaboration. So I imagine if two teams from two different offices collaborate on the same account, that would be a problem as well. Would you like to see that result?
I would love to see that looking smooth. We're piecemealing it right now. And Excel is great, but it's not perfect by any means.
Awesome. So like right now, let's say your team managed to turn around like 100 RFP per year. Is that number fair or more or less?
That number is the fair estimate. And then again, if things take too long, the number's smaller, but then the next year it's bigger. So that's on track with where we're at right now.
Cool. So let's come back to the math, right? So if is it fair to assume that we can, if we cut the turnaround time in half, which we usually did with our customer, your team can easily double the number of submitted RFP per year. And even with the same conversion rate that you currently have, your team can double the sale target. It's just linear logic that I'm using here. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I like that logic. I like the sound of that. That does make sense. Is that a thing that you guys actually have done?
Yep. But guess this, Sheila, and this is what I hear from my favorite customer, VP sales, because we free up so much brain power of the salespeople. So my client team was instead be able to dedicate 80% of the time to actually doing sale and discovery, compared to before where just 40% of the time is calculated into sales and 60% is in admin tasks.
The RFP process.
Right. So that is where the exponential growth come in place. Right. So the RFP is much better because their salespeople have more brain power to invest in that right now. Their conversion rate actually skyrocketed. Right. So that's where you can see the exponential grade instead of the linear grade.
Right, because the context switching is less and the frustration is probably lower as well.
It takes a lot of mental load just to switching tasks.
Exactly.
You are right on. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you imagine the same thing happen to your team as well?
I would love to imagine the same thing happening to my team. I'm also imagining a few specific reps who don't like anything to do with process just being a little bit lighter.
Yeah, who does? I mean, it is a clunky process. Okay, so if that happened, how much better do you sleep at night as a VP?
Yeah, well, we'd be making a lot more money, so I'm gonna say that's a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here to make that happen. I assure you. I think I hear enough here. You want a short, you want the RP process to be short, seamless. It support across the board collaboration,
Mhm.
right? Security, am I right? And
Yes.
version control.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so before I share my screen, on this demo I use about 3 people with different role. Um, just give me a second here. Yeah, I use just random name, but if you can just think of a team lead and 2 people who usually work on IP, like if you get that name in place, I appreciate it. Okay,
Oh, sure. Yeah. Team lead Sydney.
Yep.
And then the other 2 people most often involved are Terry and Lance.
Sydney, Terry, and Lance.
Yeah.
And where is Sydney at?
I think Sydney's in the UK right now.
In the UK. And
Yeah.
Terry and Lance would be in your New York office, seem like?
Lance is in New York, Terry's in Australia.
Lance is in New York and Terry is in Australia. Wow, all over the place here. Different time zone as well. So
exactly.
Yeah, so I'm going to share my screen here, Sheila. Okay. See it all right?
Yes. Okay, that looks great.
All right, so let's put yourself in this. Let's put your team on this. Okay. The power of this is you can assign different people for this product, right? So I'm seeing Sydney here, sitting in the UK, managing the RFB for customer, let's say in the UK and Australia.
Okay.
So I can see Lance in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Lance in New York, and
New York,
Terry
yeah.
would be in Australia, right?
Yeah.
So how does collaboration look like? It will look like this. So you have everything. You have the project started. You have the timeline that you can monitor. What question is assigned to whom, and what question is unanswered or in review in different stage of the IP process.
Okay.
Okay. What amazing is, I think this actually help a lot, is that you have the project manager or the project owner. Sydney will have the ability to just nudge Lance or Terry when something is falling behind.
Yeah. So they can see who it's waiting on, and then a little bump like that. Okay.
Exactly. And one thing that we're really proud of, one feature that we're really proud of, and it will help you with everything, is response automation. I know that RFP sometimes can be repetitive.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm copy pasting things all over the place.
From
yeah.
From 50 megabyte Excel file to
Exactly.
another 50 megabyte Excel file can be crazy. It drives me crazy sometimes when I do the RFP myself. So what we do is we literally develop something called Run Magic, right? You know that you can build a content library. You can pull all the information that is repetitive and put it in a content library. And using the response automation, it will automatically recognize the familiar question.
Oh.
And just literally on a press of the button, you can fill it in.
Okay. I don't have to go find it.
Yes. So I'm counting like around 3 seconds here. I'm not sure how long it takes you to do.
Okay. That is very different.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna stop the screen right now, Sheila. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how well do you see this fit into your perfect scenario that you imagine?
Yeah. So it's hitting all the points I covered. That running magic piece is extra. I didn't realize that was a thing, and I feel a little silly for not knowing that this already existed. Because the things I'm complaining about, the open the file to find this stuff, like that's a huge part of it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know how to give you a number. It looks good.
I find the collaboration is actually like a productivity booster. It can empower your team to no end. So Sheila, if we implementing tomorrow, how soon you want it to roll out for the whole team?
Well, what are we? We're at the beginning of February, so we were talking year goals and how much we could exponentially increase revenue. So I'm going to say if we're implementing it, sooner is better. I don't know what your security audit process looks like. I'm not sure how long your rollout takes. So yeah, I feel the sooner I can get my team using that button, the happier they're going to be.
Lovely. Lovely. I really happy to hear that, because I just like usually when we involve with company like multinational company like yours, usually have to involve a buying committee. Is that the case for you as well?
Oh yeah, of course. There'll be a couple other people who need to see eyes on this. My CEO and COO for sure. I would love to get the eyes of the team leads from each of our offices on it as well. Not part of the purchasing process, but just to see what they think, because I think they're gonna love it.
Awesome. So is that the crazy idea to set up another meeting to go into nitty-gritty of it?
No, I think that's a great idea.
Awesome.
Please.
Look like we're really the spy you're looking for here, Sheila. And
of course, you had to. Okay.
I just shoot over an invite.
Okay.
And yeah, and we just set the time for it. How does it go?
Yeah, that sounds great. There'll be some weirdness with time zones if we're going to get them all on there, but I think if you can prioritize the New York, UK alignment, then we'll figure it out with the other group.
Yeah, we are about 20 seconds over time, so I just have to let you go right now. I am going to schedule it for, let's say, 11.
I'm sorry, Mike. We are over time. We tried to squeak it in, but no, he lost you there.
There you go.
Great job. That was tight. That was a lot of information in there. But straight up, I'm glad I got to choose my soundboard at least once today. So thank you for that. We have one competitor up. Karan, you're going to be going soon, so you got a couple of minutes to get yourself sorted. We'll give our judges some time to fill in. Mike, how are you feeling? Oh, I think we might have lost your headset there. So if you're still popping them back in. There we go. Mike, how are you feeling now that you're all done?
Accelerating, yeah. I didn't make the time, but I feel like I get my message across. Hopefully Sheila's feel the same. So yeah, try my best.
It was good. I was watching the clock there. I took a note there. My timer hit the 5 minutes left mark, and you still hadn't pulled up anything on your screen share. So I was worried about how that was going to go. So good job squeezing that in. I saw the comments in the chat there too. That was pretty quick screen sharing. That was wicked. I still see a couple judges heads down. If I can get a thumbs up when you're done with your scores, just so I know. Nice. Okay. Got James and Charles tightening those up. Karan, how are you feeling here? Have all your things in gear, ready to go?
Yeah, feeling great. Thank you.
Fantastic. I got the last thumbs up, so our judges are all set. Again, for everyone, once Karan finishes up, we'll give judges a couple of minutes. We'll invite Sheila to provide some comments and the individual judges, but we'll crown our winner today. Karan, same thing. Introduce your product, who you're selling to. I will put 15 minutes on the clock as soon as you're done your intro, but the floor is all yours.
Great. Thank you, Joseph. Hi, everyone. My name is Karan. I'm going to be presenting Guru, and Sheila is going to be VP of Customer Success. She's at a growing SaaS company. They use Slack for internal communication, and they're looking to hire 5 new customer support reps to support their growing clientele. Hi, Sheila. How are you?
Hey, Karan. I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great as well. Thanks for asking. Hey, I noticed on your LinkedIn profile that you're a competitive. You said you're a competitive athlete. What sport are you into?
Jiu-jitsu mostly. I guess martial arts as a whole, but the one that I've most recently been competitive is jiu-jitsu, but pre-pandemic, of course.
Hey, I've seen those videos. That's an amazing sport, and kudos to you.
Thanks.
Of course, yeah. I took karate when I was younger, but my days of wax on, wax off are dead.
There's something incredibly satisfying about choking people in a socially acceptable way, you know?
I hear where you're going.
Yeah.
Hey, so just to set a bit of an agenda, we have the 15 minutes today. And what typically follows this is a deeper dive around an hour scheduled with you and anyone else on your team that would see a benefit in Guru. So, towards the end of our call, I'm going to ask you this question, and if it makes sense, to go into that deeper dive and you feel comfortable doing so, we'll go ahead and get that set up. And if not, then I think, if you don't think it's a good use of our time, we can just part as friends. How does that sound?
That sounds great. Okay, that makes sense if that's your next step. Cool.
Great, awesome. So Sheila, I know we got to chat a little bit about your process. You're growing clientele and you're looking to hire possibly 5 new support reps on your team. What does onboarding look like at your company right now?
Yeah. So I'm going to say that we've been trying really hard to make onboarding remotely work. Previously, it was a lot of job shadow, a lot of one-to-ones, meeting and interviewing anybody that they need to in the first 2 weeks, really. And then after that, we kind of, once they've shadowed for a while, they start taking more and more responsibility with calls and tickets. And then we kind of set them loose by week 4. There's a lot of back and forth. We don't just leave them out on their own, but previously it was like, go ask for what you need when you need it. We've kind of replaced it with Slack at this point. We were on Slack before, but not the way we are now. So most of that conversation is happening in the Slack instance. We've tried to make the team dynamic work with the Zoom calls, the regular check-ins, but then again, it's a fine balance of not having us all on Zoom too long.
Yeah, and it sounds like you definitely, like you mentioned, you stepped it up on Slack, and also that these individuals are going through a quick onboard, you would say, in 4 weeks, and really getting thrown into not the wolves, but into their respective positions here. Yeah. Stepped it up on Slack. Could you tell me what that looks like now?
Yeah. So we have our CS channel, and then there's the channels for when things are escalating quickly. And then there's a lot of direct messaging. So I'm going to say at the beginning of anybody's onboarding phase, most of the communication happens by DM. It takes them a while to get comfortable asking in public channels. We encourage it the whole time. And of course, we try to lead by example. But I'm going to say a lot of it is, hey, where do I find that thing? And that's fine that it happens over DM. Is that kind of what you meant in terms of where it's happening, or are you looking for a how?
Yeah, no, that definitely answers it. And it seems like, Slack is primarily being used to really communicate not only questions, but also part of the onboarding process and how that's going to go. And also once they get past that, questions that they might encounter with interactions with clients. Is that right?
Yeah. So some of it, like if it's a question I can just answer in a moment, I'll just throw it in. Sometimes I have mapped out workflows and they're saved in my drive somewhere. So I'll go and I'll search, I'll pull it, I'll copy paste, I send that over. I'm trying to reduce that as much as possible and just remind them of resources. But the first 2 weeks for sure, it's just like, I will take you exactly where you need to go. And then I sort of pull back from that. I might share links so they can find it themselves, or just a reminder of which resource they need to be looking in for that answer.
Yeah, so it seems like you have a process in place there. I did hear you also mention links and resources. How accessible are those to those onboarding?
Well, most of it's in a shared drive, so they have access. I think the main issue is just remembering where to look for it repeatedly. I'm not dragging on my team, but it's like the start of the process is a lot of like just reminders, pointing them at the right thing over and over again.
So it sounds like it might be a little difficult for these onboards to really find what they're looking for.
Yes, accurate.
Where do you see them getting stuck the most?
I think maybe it's a result of us we have the shared drive, but then we also have a bunch of stuff in Confluence, and we have a video library as well. So, I've tried to centralize it as much as possible, but I think they get stuck most frequently just remembering where to find the thing. I know that sounds really silly, but it's the most common thing we run into.
Right. And it's actually really common, because when I was speaking to another VP of customer success earlier this morning, they had mentioned the same thing. They were kind of in a place where their information was there, but it's scattered across different platforms. So it's making it a little tough for those onboards to really access it easily.
Exactly. We try to make it as simple as possible, but inevitably they need a reminder or a nudge or a look over here.
Yeah. So going back to, like you had mentioned, these folks, they're getting onboarded and then being by week 4 ready to go with clientele and having that interaction with the clients. Would you say this is a top priority for you going into 2021?
It's a top priority for me right now. I mentioned that we've got 5 new jobs that we've just posted for. I also know with our hiring plan for the rest of the year that there are other departments that are going to grow as well. The CS team right now is growing in advance of some new, like we had a lot of growth, I think I mentioned, and then we've got the sales team growing as well right after. So we're going to do this like catch up thing. So short answer, yes, there is kind of an immediate need, and then throughout the rest of the year as well, it's going to be top of mind for us.
Great. And I also heard that you mentioned that this was also possibly a top priority for other departments as well. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, sales for sure. And then eventually the dev team.
Yeah. So what I found is that in our demos, they work really effectively when we can have voices from other departments because Guru is not only a tool for CX, but also for sales and other departments on the organization as well.
Okay. Well, great. Okay. So we can maybe look at that too at some point.
Yeah, definitely. So what I'm about to show you is a quick demo of how you could use Guru from a onboarding perspective. But before I jump into that, I definitely want to give you the chance to make sure we're using this time appropriately. We've got about 7 minutes left. Anything else you need to see today to make that decision if we continue or not?
Nothing. So when making decisions, I will need to talk pricing, of course, but I don't think I have any other questions before deciding on whether or not the tailored dive makes more sense.
Great. So I'm going to hop into the screen share here real quick. And then if it makes sense to talk about pricing from then, we'll go touch on that. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So real quick, I'm just going to ask you to close your eyes and just picture that you've implemented the Guru platform.
Okay.
And go ahead and open your eyes. Do you see my screen?
I do.
Great. So it should look familiar. And I promise you, I'm not selling Slack to you because I know. So one of the things that that even myself working at Guru and also using Guru that I love is our integration with Slack and what that allows us as, either sales reps or even customer support reps to do. So you had mentioned that a lot of your communication, it takes place on Slack, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So a typical interaction would you say you get a lot of questions throughout the day and, you have some time to answer them. And then when you do, maybe an hour later, someone else asks you the same question. You kind of have a lot of copy and pasting.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to say that happens a lot.
Great. So with this integration, you can actually create a Guru card right inside Slack. Is that something that would be helpful to you?
So when you say a card, do you mean like an answer to that question that I could just send the next person who asks me the same thing?
You got it.
Okay. Yeah, that
So,
sounds helpful.
Great. Awesome. So real quick, I just want to walk you through what that would look like and also kind of put it in perspective of what your support reps are going to kind of encounter as well. So here I have a question here and then a response right below, which I've kind of clicked and hover over. Mm-hmm. So to get this created into a Guru card, you're going to go ahead and click on the more options here. And then you'll see the option create card. Mm-hmm. And then it automatically populates that answer right there in that card content section. Okay. And then up here, you can go ahead and get this title. So I know you've mentioned that it's really important for your customer reps to have this information, Yeah. So this is going to make sure that they're reaching out less to you and interacting more with the Guru platform to look for these answers before they actually reach out to you first. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go ahead. Yep.
No, I like the sound of that. If they're just going to the platform instead of coming straight to me.
Yeah. Does that really impact your day to day when they reach out to you directly instead of going and searching for it?
You know that Slack interrupt sound? Mm-hmm. Okay, if you spend a lot of time at the ocean, you can kind of hear the ocean in your ears. That sound, the Slack sound, that's what I hear all the time. So yes, that's going to change my day to day for sure if they're coming to me less frequently. Short answer.
Yeah, definitely. And I know how you want to help your reps at the same time, but also how that can kind of become a little annoying, once you're trying to do your day-to-day tasks as well. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So real quick, I've created this card here and I can go ahead and actually publish this into the Guru platform and hit save. Okay. So what that does is essentially, like I said, it allows you as the so the customer support agent, so when they're looking for this information, because it's scattered in different places, they can actually redirect directly to Guru first instead of having to reach out to you and find this information if it already exists. And if it doesn't, they can go ahead and create a Guru card right then and there, like we've done here using Slack, without having to leave their screen or open up another browser or another page. And then real quick here at the bottom, like I was mentioning, there's different Guru works with different platforms as well. So not only that, it allows you to create a collection of support questions specifically for your CX team, and also for your sales team and other parts of your organizations as well. So I think for this purpose, we'll go ahead and just save this in client and hit next. And then the neat thing is, or what I want to ask you is, how often do you have someone that actually goes in and updates this information in these different documents that you have?
Yeah, it's usually me. Yeah, I do.
So I'm sure that's really time consuming. Would you agree?
Yes. And I like to think that I'm doing it often enough, but I don't think I am.
I hear you, definitely. So what this criteria here allows you to do is set up a verification. So this can be either assigned to you or another supervisor who's kind of overseeing that support team. And what it's going to allow them to do is, anytime there's new information being brought over from either the product team, any changes to the product, or you just acquired someone else, you can update and get reminders sent out to make sure that your reps are using accurate information. So that can be set on either a monthly or a weekly basis. So after making that selection, you can be sure that the information that your reps are accessing, it's trusted, and it's also verified by an individual as well.
Did I catch that correctly, that I can assign that notification to someone else, or does it always go to whoever created it?
You can assign it to someone else. That's right.
Nice. Okay. I like that.
Great. I'm just going to go ahead and stop my screen share real quick. So Sheila, you're more familiar with the Guru platform now that I've shown you how you can really connect and serve both new and existing content to your support team. Mm-hmm. Do you think it makes sense to pull in that VP of sales and possibly another team member to continue the conversation?
Yeah, I think we'll have to, because I am not sure if his workflow looks the same as mine. My entire team does all of it here in Slack, but he might have something else in place I don't know about in terms of where they keep their information and the questions and everything. So I would like to share this. I would also, if it's possible in that call, like to see what the actual platform looks by itself, not through Slack, mostly curiosity.
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of what that deeper dive will help us do. Bring in the VP of sales and anyone else on the platform, but also at the same time, what you can also do is you can, if you can come with a head count, because I know you touched on pricing as well. Mm-hmm. So typically it's per person per month. But if we have an exact head count, I can provide you with that honest quote then and there. How does that sound?
Okay, that's great. So I need head count. I'll break it up by team as well, because I think that there might be a difference there if we're going to go with both or one at a time. Head counts. Anything else that you want me to bring for that?
No, I think that's it. And then how does next week at the same time sound for you?
What day is it today? Yeah, that works for me. Okay.
Great, awesome. So I'll get that email sent out to you, and we will see you in that deeper dive. Thank you so much, Sheila.
Sounds good, Karan. Thank you.
Bye.
Karan, I saw you pick up speed right at the end there. That was close. Had about 20 seconds left on the clock. Good job. Watching on that clock is really good. Although I confess, I was hoping to be able to use my soundboard again, but good job. So take a breather. We'll give our judges a chance to finish up their scores. How are you feeling?
Feeling really good.
Nice.
Yeah, I was nervous in the beginning, but I'm happy I'm done with it. But also, I feel like I did myself some justice there too.
That was good. You covered a lot of territory. There were some great comments about the rapport building, the flow. Good job covering your bases there. I see the scores still trickling in. So while we're letting those happen, Sheila, are you up for jumping in and offering some feedback to today's competitors?
Yeah, and did you want me to approach it from the sort of overarching bird's eye view type? Are we going to have time for judges as well?
We do have time for judges, so why don't we start at the top level?
Yeah, I love it. So I have the frustrating difficulty of getting to see this after watching them grow for 12 weeks. So I find it very hard to remove that lens. And I'm so glad that our judges are here today to quantify this and score them, because I would really struggle to separate where I've seen them start from to where they are today. Overall, this group, the entire class, very collectively elevated all of each other at the same time. And instead of the normal sort of one person jumps ahead and pulls someone up behind them, and then they pull the next people up, which I see in the classroom all the time, this group very specifically built like a scaffold style platform, and they all just climbed together. And it was amazing to be part of. And I really struggled to pick who should even be on this platform. Today, for the group, I'm really happy with how you remembered to go next level with your discovery. We went past just the surface questions, and that made me really happy. I could hear the nerves from all of you, and you did a great job managing it. Thank you so much for all of that hard work. And overall, I just wanted to thank all of you for your hard work over this course. It's obvious just in your performances today, but also what I saw happen with the entire class it felt pretty special. So thank you so much for all your hard work. Joseph, that's all I've got. Sure. So I'm going to call on each of you, and I'll try to give you as much time to think about it as possible. Jordana, I was going to start with you. And if you don't mind, can you direct your feedback specifically to our first presenter, Angie? Does that work? Okay, yes. Great.
Do you want me to deliver it now, Sheila?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay.
And then right after, I'll give you a moment, right after Jordana, Drew, I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to ask you to speak to our second presenter, Lance. I'll try to give you guys a judge's worth of time to think. All right, go ahead, Jordana.
I just want to say, holy crap, all of you. Angie, well, I'll talk about you in a second, but I think that the level in which you guys are operating is better than many sellers that I work with who have been selling literally for years. And I think this is like the strongest demo day that I've seen to date. So well done, all of you. Angie, I thought you did a phenomenal job really like establishing yourself as a credible source of a hell of a lot of knowledge, like right at hello. Your questions were so thoughtful. You led with really compelling insights that I think turned you into far less of a kind of like salesperson and more in the territory of like trusted advisor, which was super impressive to see. The one area of opportunity that I called out here, and I think this actually goes for everyone, is I think that there's a real opportunity. Sorry, my water's going upstairs. Before you launch into selling your product, I think it can be really helpful to play back what you've heard. Basically to recap, to do a summary of the kind of pains or circumstances that you've discovered, to check in to see if there's anything that you've missed, and use that as your transition to then move into all of the amazing ways your product can help them. But all told, wow.
Thank you, Jordana.
Yeah.
You scared me for a moment there when you were silent. I was like, is there no feedback at all? But I know you were just waiting for Sheila, but thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you so much for that, Jordana. Drew, I'm putting you on the spot next. As you're speaking, I was going to ask Charles to speak to our third presenter, Mike. And then after that, we'll be moving on to Karan. But I'll give you enough lead up, James, so you've got time to think. Thank you, Drew. Go ahead.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, great job, everybody. Once again, it's always like, it's just so impressive to see the calm, cool, and collectedness of someone doing a 15-minute demo where you're being watched, it's being recorded. You have to get in all these checklists of things that you've been learning for the past 12 weeks. And it's really impressive just to see how cool and collected everybody was, and just extremely like came across very, very professional. Like Jordana said, you could be in, if you said you had 5 years in selling SaaS, then nobody would blink an eye at you. One quick overall feedback before I just get into Lance is, well, two things. One is just give some space when you're chatting with people. So you have an agenda, and it's hard in the 15 minutes, I get it, but you have an agenda, you have some questions that you need to get through before you get to the demo. But when you are asking a question or you're telling a story that's you're leveraging social proof, just pause after that and give them space to react and give them space to answer. Just give them space to think about it for a second, because that's how conversations go. They don't just go back and forth. Otherwise, it just feels like an interrogation from the buyer's side. And there's a couple of follow-ups where you're scheduling a second meeting where there was clear like other stakeholders that are going to be a part of it. It's a great opportunity to ask not just who they are, like what their roles are, but get their contact information. So then you can add them to the calendar invite, or you can include them on the follow-up. So then you're getting deeper into the organization. So don't be afraid to just ask who they are and get their contact information, because worst case scenario, they say no. Best case scenario, you get 3 more contacts from that account. Lance, great job. I think that was awesome. I think your just overall approach, it was like, I feel like some people could see, okay, well, I think he needs to smile more and enjoy himself a little bit more, but I think you did in your own way, and that was your personality. And I think it showed me, if I was a buyer, that you're serious about what you're doing, you're serious about people's time. And I thought that was really great. You outlined the process from the very beginning. So I thought that was like super respectful. You did a great job of active listening. Like there was just countless times where you repeated back to Sheila, like, am I understanding you correctly? Is this really what you mean? So I think that's really awesome. Another question that you said was like, have you tried any other tools? And that's a great way of digging deep into their buying decision and buying process to see if they have tried different tools, if they're ready for change, if they've already explored that. So I think those are two really great points. One thing I would have gone down, especially with like the airlines, like you talked about it, about the safety of being utmost importance. Like I feel like that could have been the theme of the entire demo, where you're like digging into that safety piece, because it is important. Like you can't just deliver a learning or deliver content to airline workers and them not actually learn it or not be accountable for it. So I feel like the fact that Vidyard could provide that to Sheila, it could have been a huge and like a no-brainer to signing up. So other than that, yeah, it was awesome, and go Chiefs.
Go Bucks. No, that was
come on. Okay, well, I take back all my good positive feedback.
No, that was great feedback. Much appreciated. I'll definitely learn from it.
Byron, okay. Charles, I was going to ask you to speak to Mike now, if you're ready.
Sure. Am I speaking about a specific individual? I apologize.
Yes, Mike, our third presenter.
Oh, Mike. Okay.
Loopio demo. There we go.
Gotcha. Okay. So first of all, of course, you were very dynamic. That goes without saying. Oh, I'm not on mute anymore, right? Okay, I'm good. Just in general, like an overall view, I pay attention a lot to roadmaps, and so the roadmap for all of you was quite excellent. From the notes that I took for Mike, one thing that I admittedly don't hear every single thing, but one of the things that stuck out that you, Mike, did, which I really was hoping to see, which you did, was the if it's not a good fit, no big deal, which I really liked. In terms of the third-party stories, I imagine that it takes some extra time, right? The empathy that you gave the prospect while you were listening was fantastic. I even liked what you said at the end, which I wrote down. Is it fair to say that if we were to, do X, that might be something that would be helpful? I like that language there. In terms of just one piece of feedback that I find it's not unique to you, Mike, but in general, there were questions that everybody had asked with regard to it sounded something like, do you see yourself using this? Something along those lines. Everybody asked a question like that. I find that that question sometimes was asked a little bit too early. Maybe a little bit more context can be explained on a specific part of the platform before that's asked. And I think when asking a question like, do you see yourself using this? 3 words that help you open up a question are like, to what extent might you see yourself using this? Or how might you see yourself using this? Just to open that up a little bit. So that's like my main takeaway from that question. What Drew said on his earlier comment about alternatives, right? I think that's big across the board. I kind of didn't hear that across the board. That helps maybe dig a little bit deeper around, you know, how kind of like, how else have you been doing this before we ever spoke kind of question. I thought would have been additive. But other than that, that's really all the feedback that I had. And to be very honest with you, you guys were amazing. Really were amazing. I feel just personally like my role as a coach, if I don't have anything to say, then I won't say it. And I was just, I was very, very, very impressed.
Thanks so much, Charles. Okay, James, if I can ask, I was going to ask you to speak to our final presenter, Karan.
Yeah, and just to echo what the judges have all said, I mean, absolutely phenomenal by everybody. And it's amazing to think like that these are demos that have been created without necessarily actually working at the company. I mean, even practice demos with people I used to do at the company that we all worked for, some of them weren't as on point as what I've seen here. So I don't know who the person is who has the position at one of these companies, because you all did a phenomenal job. And Karan, your natural speaking style, the cadence that you have, the way that you just naturally have this authentic way of speaking is phenomenal. It was like, yeah, it was just it was a wonderful way to build rapport, to ask questions without actually maybe having them put their guard up or anything like that. I mentioned this in the chat. I'm a huge fan of time checks, and you did that. Like, there's 7 minutes left. Anything else you want to cover? Like, what that does is it makes sure on the other side that the person can turn around and say, like, actually, you know what is really important to me in the next 7 minutes? I want you to tell me this, you know, or I want to hear about this. And you're going to, you know, get that specific information. The one thing I will mention for you is that I think that the, you know, very friendly and authentic way that you have can sometimes be a double-edged sword when it comes to opportunities to dig a little bit deeper. And this is something that I personally had to work on a lot in my career. Was sometimes like it feels unnatural because it might feel a bit weird in the flow of the conversation to dig deeper, to get more of a quantified pain when the opportunity is there. Sometimes the other person, you know, the prospect doesn't necessarily want to say, you know what, I spend like 3 hours a week doing this, because it's painful for them as well. But there's a huge opportunity there for you to dig in deeper and for them to hear themselves really describing exactly how painful it is. But all in all, fantastic job, man. I thought it was great. And thank you very much.
Thanks so much for that feedback, James. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So Sheila, you've had a fantastic opportunity to see the feedback, the notes. Everyone, we're getting close to crowning a winner, but before I hand it back to Sheila to help run that, I gotta just set the stage. This really was incredible. This has been our 10th demo day, and not only did everybody crush it, but you've bumped us into an edge case of our rules that we haven't yet had to exercise, where our judges have actually come back with a tie, and our rules state that when there's a tie, the lead instructor has to dig in and task that tiebreaker. So I know when you actually dig into the feedback and notes, that's going to be a lot of fun. And I usually tell the judges, I'm glad that I don't have the job to judge. And I feel like this has all been set up for a fantastic troll because now Sheila has to toss that tie-breaking vote. So Sheila, make sure you give us the breakdown on the feedback on what caused you to cast your vote the way you did. And for everybody, I would ask that you unmute yourselves so that when Sheila does announce the winner, we can give a good, fantastic round of applause. So Sheila, it's on to you. Give us the thoughts, comments, and let us know who wins.
I totally did this to myself by saying how happy I was that I didn't have to call it. I just want to stress or preface this that my week 11 with this course was so difficult and draining because I had 8 people who could have been on this stage. I was normally, I narrow it down to a list of maybe 6 and then I kind of whittle away at it. It was hard. And you guys, you did not disappoint because you've done it again. And here I am breaking a tie. So the first thought was, well, I'll go back to in-course performance. And then that didn't work because they're all at the same level there too. So what I did was I really thought about overarching feel as prospect. Okay. I did not during the demos have time to score. When I'm doing the role play, I find it very difficult to do the 2 at the time. So I had to bring it all the way back to the customer experience. Okay. It's the only way I could do it. I think it makes sense given how customer centric we're trying to be with all of our selling throughout the duration of the 12 weeks. So I'm ready to announce our 2020-11 demo day winner with the tie-breaking vote goes to Mike. There we go.
Hey.
All right, Mike.
Woo, Mike.
Well done, Mike.
Yeah, congrats, Mike.
Mike, awesome job.
Great job.
Thank you so much,
Congrats,
everyone.
Mike.
Yeah.
Congrats on everybody.
What a fantastic run. Mike, you came out on top. Would love to hear any quick comments, thoughts, reaction. Did you think you won?
I think Sheila like I said, I don't envy Sheila job at all because I don't see an obvious winner in this. Everybody performance was so fantastic. But yeah, I don't know what to say right now. It's exhilarating experience.
Well, I know that the class, you'll be breaking down the feedback and the comments from the judges will be valuable to help set the stage for everyone, especially for those who won't be in the class tomorrow. We have a 15-point evaluation scheme, and it breaks it down to quarter-point values, and it was less than 1 point separating everybody in this. It really was exceptionally tight. So, judges, thank you. Before we let everybody go, we do have a couple of housekeeping items, so let me pull those up. We'll get everybody off to the races, so just bear with me. Let me get my slide shared for those of you who are on the Zoom side of things. A couple of housekeeping things. Number 1, if you are here in Zoom or you're on YouTube and you want to meet or get connected with any of our students or grads, let us know. Happy to make that introduction. You can see a couple of links here on the slides, our upcoming demo days. You can get our hot sheet. Our hot sheet goes out after every group graduates, and we pass along the LinkedIn profiles of all of the new available fantastic sales pros. We do have some really exciting upcoming events, and so that's where I really wanted to emphasize. Number 1, our next demo day is coming up early March on the 4th of March, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern. This will be a lot of fun. So if you enjoyed this, come back in. We're gonna have a good time again. We also have a couple of upcoming workshops, and we're increasing the number of our workshops and digging in deep. And this is great for not just our students, but our grads. It's open to the network, fantastic practice time. We have a cold calling blitz coming up on the 16th of February, and we have a personal branding workshop coming up on the 24th of February. If you want to attend either of those, you can find them on our events page, but you can also see all of our upcoming events, and it is promising to be really exciting. The last thing I'd love to leave everybody with is a big congratulations. We saw 4 incredible demos, but we have a whole class that has come through a real crucible of 12 weeks. It is a tough grueling process, and to come out on the tail end, you've learned so much. So job well done. And again, thank you very, very much for our judges. We couldn't have done it without you. For those of us joining on YouTube, we're going to let you go now. For those of us in Zoom, hold on for just one moment.